Hey guys, Nick Drossos. I'm here with Francisco Randez. How long you been doing jiu-jitsu, Francisco?
Seriously, 6 years,
Okay.
like training once or twice a day. It's very addictive.
Once or twice a day?
Yeah, I train twice a day a lot. I've been doing it for so many years that you build up that capacity to train a lot. And jiu-jitsu is very addictive. And it's also a sport where you can practice a lot. Because
Yeah.
the beauty of sports jiu-jitsu is you can go 100% at training.
Absolutely.
And not, I mean,
It's not like boxing where you're getting hit in the head.
yeah, exactly. Or kickboxing, where you actually get hurt a lot. You get hurt in jiu-jitsu, but I mean, you can train a lot without getting hurt. And
As long as your ego doesn't get in the way and you tap.
yes,
That's it.
because you have to leave the ego at the door, definitely in jiu-jitsu. So yeah, I've been training for a couple of years. I was doing judo as a kid, boxed for quite a
Oh,
good decade.
wow.
So, and I was always interested in self-defense, and I've been following your work
Awesome.
that I
Thank
appreciate
you.
very much. Yeah.
It's like I did a video on jiu-jitsu and I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of shit because people took it wrong. And I've never said jiu-jitsu is bad. I just think it has its limitations. I think there's great skill that you acquire that could be used in the street, but as a complete whole, if you think you're gonna, take a guy to the street and do an arm bar, maybe if you're one-on-one and nobody's getting involved and you're on a perfect surface, maybe it's possible, but the chances of that are slim, right?
They're very
What do you
slim.
think of that?
I saw that video, and I have to say, I was, agreeing with most of what you were
Okay.
saying. Sports jiu-jitsu, because there is self-defense jiu-jitsu. This is
What's the difference? I know like the Gracies, I've seen them
yeah,
do.
the Gracies, the two brothers with Gracie University, they do a lot of that, and it's very interesting. And they teach quite a lot of jiu-jitsu to police officers and stuff like that. Some of the stuff I find very daring, like
Yeah.
go for a double leg takedown on someone that's being aggressive. I mean, a double leg takedown. Those are moves we take from wrestling, and we add it to the grappling game, because grappling now is grappling in general.
Yeah.
Just martial arts is like one big thing now, where whatever works, we're gonna use
Yeah.
it. It's not. We're not in that clash of styles that we saw in the early '90s that led the way to the UFC. This is how it happened, but. Now, whatever works, people are going to use it. Professional fighters, if it works, they're going to use it.
Yeah.
So so I saw, for example, a video where they would suggest that a double leg takedown would be an effective tool in a street fight. I mean, you have to practice a lot, man.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I mean, grappling can be a very great tool in a street fight, but you have to work, man. You have to work every day, and your grappling needs to become very fluid and to become very efficient. So unless you work a lot on it, you might as well stick to the basics, because you could get in danger. You could probably put yourself in trouble more than anything else by using poor quality jiu-jitsu.
How many percentage of everything that you train is on the ground?
In jiu-jitsu,
Is it 80%? Like I had that discussion with somebody and I was like, and that's what I was saying, like jiu-jitsu is great, there's some good stuff you're gonna learn, but I was trying to think of the percentage, and I did do a little bit of it, and I remember most of it was on the ground. How much is standing up?
it depends. I mean, a lot of us compete, and there's one thing that's important to mention, that there's two types of jiu-jitsu. There's with the gi,
Okay.
what people call the kimono, but it's a gi. A gi is a work clothes. That's what it means. And there's no gi, which is where you wear like a rash guard and board shorts, or more or less.
Yeah.
It looks like a surfer's attire. Obviously the grips are different. They're two different sports, but this stems from the same place, right?
Does it change? I'm assuming it probably changes a lot, right? Like, I mean, just the fact that you have it, you don't, you lose that ability to grab, to trap a certain way.
It is different. I mean, I'm very passionate about no-gi grappling, but I train in the gi because it's such great training. It's a different complexity. The thing is, the gi doesn't slip as much, so there's a lot of moves that you can, it's not as fluid, and you can stall a lot with the grips, lapels, sleeves, pants. So I would say they're almost like, maybe compared to speed skating, like short track and long track.
Okay.
So maybe it would be a good comparison. So if you're gonna compete, you need to do a lot of stand up, because the fight starts standing up.
absolutely.
A lot of guys now, you see it, they just sit on their bum as the fight starts. A lot of guys do that. Again, it's something I would never suggest you do in a street fight.
Like who's gonna just sit?
Unless you're picking a fight in a beautiful park and there's only one attacker,
and nobody's jumping in.
No, then maybe it could be a good idea if you're really good on the ground. But
have you been in any fights?
I've been in a few fights.
And
I usually try to either leave, because that's the best way to
diffuse,
or end it very fast.
Striking.
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 I mean, one fight and finish. I know we're not supposed to punch in the street, but I placed it beautifully. Placed right hand, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Just being very calm.
So have you ever used your jiu-jitsu on the street?
No, I mean, I'm a restaurant and bar owner. I worked in bars before I was an owner for 20 years, so I was in a lot of scraps.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it would finish with a nice, lock and
just
taking the guy to the door.
Yeah.
So, and that's why maybe jiu-jitsu could be, in those situations, jiu-jitsu could be a useful tool, because legally, you want to avoid punching people and hitting them.
Yeah.
You can get in a lot of trouble, hitting people, especially if you know what you're doing. You know that.
Yeah.
If it's proven in court that you
knew, they show you one of your videos and you're like, you're showing how to stab somebody with a pen here, and you crack somebody with a,
I mean, and the law is, I don't know if you looked at the Canadian laws in terms of self-defense, and there's not a lot of information. It's quite surprising, those articles and I've tried to study them as much as I could, and it leads to situations where people are suing the people that they attacked because they fought back and they injured them.
I spoke to a lawyer about that.
It's completely insane. But that's what I'm saying.
It's anybody's game, and like what I teach is always I either diffuse or I go preemptive. However, if you go preemptive, you have to prove that you were actually threatened, you felt your life was in danger. You go to court and it's anybody's game from that very moment.
And you're in trouble for a couple of years. It's a long process sometimes. So, as much as you can, you want to avoid fighting in the street. It's
absolutely.
not, I think we idealize street fighting a lot, and I would say the best weapon you can use is your brain.
That's
and
what I tell people.
Being smart and run away from fights as much as you can, unless your life or someone's life is in danger, and you really have to, you have to do something. But
I tell that to people. There's no, again, I get a lot of, I get bashed a lot sometimes when I teach knife defense, and I always tell people, if you can run, but you can't run through a wall. You can't run through a car. There's moments you're gonna have to turn around, you're gonna have to fight, and you have no choice. Obviously, the idea is to, I focus a lot on awareness and de-escalation and knowing how to position yourself, what to look and escape. But when you don't have a choice and you're faced there, you're going to have to make a decision. And I always tell people, I'm not there. People always want the answer. I don't know. I'm not there. Is he holding a knife? Are they two? Are they one? Are they moving around? And like when you're here in a mat, it's like the worst that's going to happen is what? I'm going to, get tapped out. I'm going to get knocked out. I'm going to get a concussion, broken ribs. I'm like, okay.
There's not a lot of risk.
But in the street, that's what's scary. You never know. That 16-year-old punk that you think, what's this kid going to do? Give him a knife?
Yeah.
And I tell people, he's as dangerous as anybody you can imagine.
To go back to jiu-jitsu, I think the beauty of jiu-jitsu is that you can train a lot, and you're gonna develop awareness in general of your body and space. It makes you a better athlete because you move in all directions and upside down. And when you grapple on the ground, like, you become very agile and very comfortable in situations that are not very comfortable.
Just sticking with somebody big.
For a lot of people, when they've never done fight sports or they've never been close to someone, when they start grappling on this, I teach to beginners. For them, it's a big thing, And it tells me more about the fact that if you're in an altercation, if you end up on the ground or someone's crowding you or someone's mounting you, if you've never been there, you're gonna
panic.
freak.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think jiu-jitsu is a great sport, and it's a great way to become comfortable with pressure. And
what are some of the skills you think that you get through jiu-jitsu that could be applied in the street? Feeling like for me, I remember when we used to do rolling, it was more to feel the opponent's energy, to understand movement, positioning, angles. But then what I would do is I remember when we used to do it, it's like, okay, I move here, I move there, but now I'm doing a bicep pop, or I'm headbutting, or I'm eye gouging, or I'm trapping. But the jiu-jitsu, like one of the drills we would do with the knife was I attack you with a knife until you manage to trap it. So if it takes 1 minute, 2 minutes, but the whole time you're just working. When you think about it, that jiu-jitsu, that feeling the energy and angling and being able to trap it.
I would say there's a concept that needs to be understood if you want to, either submit or defend from submissions is space. So I always say when you attack, you want to reduce space as much as you can. And when you defend in sport jiu-jitsu, you want to create space so you can escape the positions. Those concepts of space can be applied in street fighting or in an attack. And most of the time, what I understand is that what you're going to need to do and what's going to work the most is what's counterintuitive. So you want to reduce the space as much as you can, probably. And there's a lot of grips that you're going to learn in grappling that are going to help you reduce that space, immobilize your opponent, or so that concept of space is very important. And grips too. Grips are important. I see a lot of that in your videos, and you cannot press enough the importance of grip fighting. If you control the wrist, you control the head. I mean, you have an advantage. If you can get in an angle where you don't get hit, you reduce the chances of being hurt a lot.
Absolutely.
And it applies in jiu-jitsu, it applies in street fighting as well,
And I tell people you're only as strong as your grip, right? When you're trapping the knife, you can understand the concept of trapping. But if you don't have the grip strength to trap the knife, you're going to lose the knife. And we did one drill where I put fake blood, which is like sweat, and when I tried to trap, I couldn't.
Yeah, of course.
So just something like that, the fight changes in a second, where even if you're sweating and I grab the wrist and he does this, like shit, and the knife is coming right at you, and it's like the fight just changed in that moment that I even know that I can't even use my grip, or I might have to grab something else to keep the person in close.
We have a lot of MMA guys coming here, and I was grappling with Olivier Aubin-Mercier last week. And I'm lucky to be able to train with all these guys, and he sometimes wears gloves when we're grappling. So I find it very interesting because it reminds me that some positions are not to be used when you're fighting someone that can punch, because there's no striking in grappling.
Yeah, that's it.
So whenever we're grappling and he's wearing the gloves, I mean, having a striking background, I always make sure my jiu-jitsu is efficient. And it changes my game a lot. Because when you're rolling, it's a game, right?
Yeah, it's a game.
Jiu-jitsu is a game. Let's not forget that. MMA is not so much of a game.
No, you're getting elbows, punches.
Exactly. There's no face hooking, no headbutting, and all that stuff. But still, it's dangerous stuff. It's not so much of a game. It's fun, but it's not a game. Jiu-jitsu can be a game. If you're competing seriously, sometimes it's a very, very rough game, but it's still a game. You can tap out when you're in danger, it's gonna end there. You cannot tap out before you get knocked out.
It's true. Unless
so like an accident,
like I've seen people fall and dislocate their shoulder at one point, but that's rare.
So whenever we're grappling, let's say with Olivier, my jiu-jitsu changes, because there's a lot of positions I'm not going to get into because I'm completely vulnerable.
He doesn't strike you?
No, but sometimes he's
just playing with it.
Just going to remind you that he's got you there. So it changes the game a lot. And lately I've been very interested in going back to striking and maybe MMA? Just learning the basics of MMA to make sure my grappling
completely changes.
Is effective and it's basic but very, very strong, And I like that basic stuff. There's a lot of in jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on and like donkey guards and stuff like that. People that know jiu-jitsu have seen that. It's like we're really going away from the roots of jiu-jitsu.
And is it because of MMA this is happening?
No, in MMA there's a lot of stuff you can't do. It's
That's
not.
true,
It's you open too much and you become vulnerable. But in sports jiu-jitsu, it works. So there's a lot of discussions. You open the web and
that's it.
people fight on these topics all the time, and no one agrees. And I understand.
Is it like, I mean, I look at the jiu-jitsu guys. Some of them are it's like a culture. These guys, it's like
It is a culture.
Like, I mean, I get people like, you're an idiot, you're an asshole, go roll on a mat. You're like, I get so much shit. I'm like, guys, take it easy, man. It's just a sport. I don't have the answer to everything. We're just having a discussion, and we're trying to see, okay, how does, at the end, what I do is teach people personal protection and self-defense. How does it work? I'm not saying, I think all systems have something good.
Mm-hmm.
Some could be counteractive to the street. It's about being able to know what to use, when and how, and what's the pros and cons of each system.
Yeah.
Once you learn that, you can put something in there.
Yeah.
But some of these guys are like, man, you should.
It's their identity. For a lot of people, jiu-jitsu is, like I said, it's very addictive. It's a strong culture. And I realize that some people have found in jiu-jitsu a sense to their life, literally. It's that strong.
Yeah.
So when you attack jiu-jitsu, sometimes some people take it very seriously. We're lucky here at Mizu Studio, for example. Coach Val, he's a very open-minded teacher, and he invites a lot of people. Like, I really love the way this guy teaches and the way he thinks. And we're starting to develop that culture in Montreal. And grappling, there's something really amazing going on. And so I invite people to come and join in and explore the possibilities of grappling, because first, it's fun.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's great sport.
Yeah,
it's
it's a great
amazing
workout,
training. Wrestling is just the toughest sport.
Mechanically,
It's crazy.
People who've never done jiu-jitsu have rolled with me a little bit. The next day they're like, "Fuck, I'm sore." It's a workout, man.
Yeah.
You're trapping, you're moving, your whole body. Even if you're on the floor, you're still working your whole body.
You're working your toes,
yeah,
man. Your ear. I mean, there's nothing that doesn't really get involved. And so I invite people to come and check it out, and it's good for your personal, self-confidence.
Yeah,
and like I said before, I mean, grappling with someone, close contact. It really does something to a human being, it opens up to a totally different dimension, and I think grappling is great for that. I mean, the benefits of grappling are really in all aspects of life. So that's why I think some people are very, take it very personal when you question the system. But again, the discussion we're having now is about the efficiency of jiu-jitsu in a street fight. I think there's a lot of good that can be used, but it depends. Are you challenging someone to a duel? Is this what's happening, or someone is attacking you in the staircase?
Absolutely.
It's totally different, So yes, some jiu-jitsu, if you master some techniques, can be, of course, very, very good and useful, and give you that confidence. But I would never recommend someone to take a fight to the floor, to the ground, outside. You can get cut, you can get hurt.
You worked in the clubs too, right?
Glass.
It takes one guy to come in and kick you in the head, and that's it.
Yes. So, but some elements of clinching can probably be good and good to understand, because people that don't know how to fight are always going to try to clinch.
Absolutely, clinch or pull away.
And people do these stupid things when they want to fight, and the chances that you're going to meet a very good fighter, if someone fights professionally, he's not going to try and rob you in the street. He's passionate about what he does. He doesn't pick fights. He know how dangerous it can be.
It's funny because we both worked in the clubs, and the ones who always picked the fights were always like the one. It was never the fighters. It was never the guys who trained. Those guys never picked fights. It was always the guy out of nowhere who just had something to prove, who didn't really know the dangers, or they were not trained fighters. Wild punches, but sometimes these guys are dangerous too, because they can
be
crazy.
very dangerous,
and they're unorthodox. You don't know what the hell is they're gonna do, and where they're gonna come out from.
So you mentioned awareness a lot, and it's I travel a lot. I travel to Latin America a lot. I have a project there. So sometimes you in situations where it's a little wild, you get to some certain cities, there's a lot of action.
3-4 guys looking at you, or they know you're not a local.
Exactly. So, of course. I mean, I stand out in a crowd in Latin America. Let me tell you, at 6'4", with tattoos, it's like. But I mean, obviously most of the time people will come and pick fights with me.
Yeah, that's it.
But awareness is a very key element, and you really always have to, you always mention like the preemptive strike, but preemptive awareness to me is like just always knowing where could be the dangers and just being aware, not panicking, not being in alert mode, but always kind of develop that habit of just always looking. I always try to, be leaning on the wall when I'm at the restaurant, make sure I see everything that's going on. You see the door, you see,
like you said, without being like in a code red state.
Because you have to enjoy life and live life. Life is not all about being attacked and defending from attacks, but it can happen. If you go out there and live your life, it might happen.
So, guys, Francisco, what are you're going to teach us? You're going to teach us how to use. I want you to teach me what parts of jiu-jitsu I can use in a street fight.
Okay, I can think of a couple of techniques and concepts that could definitely help.
Awesome, guys. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave us a comment in the box. Hit the bell, as well as where can they find you, Francisco? Instagram?
Yes, on social medias, Facebook. Instagram is where I spend a lot of my social media time with Francisco.Randez. Easy to find.
I'll put the link in the comment box as well. And now, Francisco's going to teach me some jiu-jitsu for the street, guys.